I'd like to follow up on some points that Representative Mullery made and ask the author if he'd yield for a few questions so I can.
Representative Cornish will yield. Representative Paymar.
Representative Cornish, Representative Mullery just sort of described some of the changes that you're making here in your bill, specifically in Article 3, Section 1, under circumstances when authorized, when you can actually use deadly force. And he talked about the language you have in there under Clause 2, which says to resist or prevent what the individual reasonably believes is an offense or attempted offense that imminently exposes the individual or another person to substantial bodily harm, great bodily harm, or death. So let me just, we've talked about, Representative Mullery talked about your dwelling, your castle. Current law, as he clearly stated, you have the right to defend yourself. You have the right to kill somebody who enters your home. People are not prosecuted for that. But I'd like to know from you about this new language, because this is, I think, even the more scary parts of it, at least for me. Let's just say, and this is a hypothetical. Let's say that you and I start arguing about this bill. Now, let's just say, and people who are watching this on television, Representative Cornish, they don't know that, you were 10 feet away. You're 10 feet away from me. And they may not know from watching on television that you're probably a foot taller than me. And with your cowboy boots, you could be even higher, okay? So let's just say that, we start arguing about this bill. Now, I know you wouldn't do this, but let's just say that this happens because, you start getting really angry now. Your face starts turning red, and we're back and forth, we're arguing, and then you say something to the effect that I'm going to come over there, I'm going to bust your face, I'm going to kick your butt, and you start coming towards me. Now, Representative Cornish, people, as you know, you can carry in this chambers. You can carry a weapon here, and there are members that are carrying. I don't know if that makes you safer or not, but let's just say, okay, Representative Cornish, you and I start getting into it during the course of this debate, and I reasonably believe that you are going to cause me substantial bodily harm or great bodily harm. That you are going to punch the hell out of me, and I'm going to, my whole face is going to be busted in, broken nose, busted eye socket, who knows what. So let me just say, Representative Cornish, if that's the case, could I just pull out my pistol right now and blow you away? Under your language here in the bill, if I reasonably believe that you are going to assault me.
The member from Blue Earth, Representative Cornish.
Mr. Speaker and members, if you look at the bill, it says substantial bodily harm. Substantial bodily harm would mean that breaking of a bone of your body or impairment of a major organ. And imminent would mean that the actor infers from all the facts and circumstances that the course of conduct has commenced. So if you imminently expose an individual to substantial bodily harm, yes, you could use deadly force.
Okay, so
but I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Let me finish.
Sorry.
The standard actually is less than that with police. In fact, I guarantee you that if a policeman is arguing with somebody and he happens to snap a finger or break his nose, the hardware is definitely going to come out. And superior force is used here, or can be used, to discourage the actor. So yeah, if somebody was in your house and you were imminently exposed to what you fear was going to be the impairment of an organ or a broken bone, yeah, you could.
Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Member from Ramsey, Representative Paymar.
I understand the House thing. Let's just take that out of here. I'm talking about right here in the House chambers. So you have just said that if I reasonably believe that you are going to cause me substantial bodily harm or great bodily harm, that I would be justified under this language in taking out my pistol that's on my person right now and defending myself and shooting you. And not only that, Representative Cornish, I could continue shooting you. Let's just say I shot you in the stomach and you kept coming towards me. I could continue taking the pistol that I have and continue shooting you until you're dead, or until that you possess, you no longer are that you no longer pose a risk to me, because that's what your language says. And it says on Article 3, Section 1, page 5, that the individual may meet force with superior force with the individual's objective is defensive, which mine would be if you're coming at me like that, and the individual is not required to retreat, and the individual may continue defensive actions, which means I can take my gun and unload all of everything that's in my clip against the assailant until the danger has ended. So that means correct? Okay. I just wanted to get that on the record, Representative Cornish.
Did you want him to yield, Representative Paymar?
No, because I think he answered that. You didn't answer that. Do you want to? Okay, I'm sorry.
If it's okay, Representative Paymar Cornish, we'll ask and answer for the record so that everybody can hear, although they probably can already. But if you would, Representative Paymar, then Representative Cornish will yield. Representative Cornish.
Representative Paymar, you can and you probably should keep shooting, just like police are trained. In fact, right now the police are trained to not shoot just once, but they're trained to what's called double tap. And all the police training, when somebody is a threat, they don't shoot them in the leg anymore. They shoot for center of mass, they shoot to kill, and they double tap. So the same accordance would be for somebody in their home that felt threatened that they were going to get their bones broken or their organs impaired, that yes, you would have that right, and that's what this bill would allow.
The member from Rams, Representative Paymar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Cornish. You keep bringing in the home here, and I just want to reiterate, we have the Castle Doctrine. So now we're talking about, in your place of work, in your place of business. This is my place of work, and so I just wanted to clarify, if he comes at me, I can shoot him dead under this bill. I guess that's a good segue, though, because Representative Cornish, you mentioned the training that police officers get, and you are a police officer. And so tell me about how many hours. I know you you're the chief of a small police department, but maybe I know it's different from department to department, but how many hours do you get in training? You were just talking about what the officer's reaction might be. So what kind of training do your officers or officers generally in the state of Minnesota get on the use of deadly force?
Member from Blue Earth, Representative Cornish.
Mr. Speaker and members, Representative, boy, I haven't got the, Paymar, my old buddy, sorry about that. I'm looking at the thing and trying to read here. Very little, actually, compared to what they should get. Some officers, I think, train probably 4 or 6 times a year, but there's some small departments that can't afford it. In fact, most of them only really have to go to the range 1 time a year. They get a little bit of classroom training on justifiable homicide and laws and a little bit of range training, and that can suffice for post-board regulations. But I'm kind of wondering why you think an untrained person is any less should be given any less benefit than a trained person. I mean, why shouldn't a farmer or somebody in a wheelchair or an elderly person that can't train, why should they have to let somebody kill them? And why do you think that because you're standing on the deck of your house or in your motor vehicle or in your business, or I should say overnight abode, why would anybody be afforded less protection in your home? You make a big deal that it's your home, but why should a person be put in danger and let somebody break their face in their car or on their deck or in their garage? What's the difference?
Member from Rams, Representative Paymar.
Mr. Speaker, let me just answer that, and then I want to get back to this training thing. Or let me talk to you about the training piece first, because I do think it's important. We passed conceal and carry on this House floor some years back, and whether you agree with it or not, that is law now. So people can carry weapons in a lot of places, including on the House floor here. But I just want people to know that if you're going to be a police officer, I mean, the training is it's significant, as it should be in this state. You need 300 hours of tactical skills. You need 44 hours on the range. You need 44 hours of defensive tactics, and that's the use of the use of force continuum that police officers know about. The officers, of course, will pull their firearm, but the use of force continuum, they tend to use other things, including their size, their badge, their baton, their orders, to try to get an attacker to stop. I mean, that's the kind of training that you get. And Representative Cornish, I'm sure you've had this training, but police officers also are required to get 4 hours of shoot, don't shoot. And this is simulated scenarios that police officers watch. So someone's coming, are they just picking up their lunch? Are they just reaching in their pocket to get their money, or are they going in to get a handgun? You have to make a split-second decision, isn't that right, Representative Cornish, on whether to shoot or not. And in fact, the legislature actually requires ongoing use of force training for police officers. So I guess the question for you is, and then I'm going to answer your question, but I want to, if I can, Mr. Speaker, ask him to...
Representative Cornish will yield. Representative Paymar.
Representative Cornish, why I think training is important, because police officers get this constant training, or ongoing training on use of force, and making split decisions. What I would just like to be curious, do you think that people who get concealed carry permits get the same kind of training that police officers get relative to when to pull the trigger or not, when to use deadly force?
The member from Blue Earth, Representative Cornish.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Paymar, first of all, this has nothing to do whatsoever with the criteria for a permit and the training. And under your question, you seem to be getting at the point where you said a police officer can use their size. A police officer, sure, they can use their size, and they can use their baton, they can use their mace, they can use their taser, they have all sorts of things. And probably the biggest reason why they train is so they don't get sued nowadays. I would say that's a lot of their training. So you would expect to have Jennifer Loon standing in a house using her size and nothing else, and you think it would probably be unfair for her to be able to defend herself? You would want to drag her into training and make her sit through a classroom, the people in wheelchairs that can't run, the people of the elderly that can't retreat, all of those people, you'd like to drag everybody in Minnesota in for training before they can defend themselves? It's really hard for me to believe, and it's just unrealistic. I think a person should have a right to defend themselves no matter how much training or lack of it they have. So,
member from Ramsey, Representative Paymar.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Cornish, isn't it true that people do have the right to defend themselves currently under current law?
He will yield. Representative Cornish.
Under current law, you have a limited right to defend yourself, and we're trying to increase the rights and the capability to defend yourself. Unfortunately, it's great bodily harm right now. It's the permanent impairment of a major organ of your body, and permanent impairment of your liver or your stomach or your heart. I think that's too high of a standard. Police have a lot less standard than social citizens. If somebody's going to walk up to you and you believe is an imminent threat, they're going to break your nose. What do you think the next thing that they're going to do is? They don't just stop there. Hey, I broke your nose. You're laying on the ground. I guess I'll go home. You need to do something to stop them from breaking your face, breaking your legs, breaking your arms, knifing you, whatever it happens to be. So yes, we allow the force to continue until the attacker is repelled. It's only common sense.
Member from Ramsey, Representative Paymar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just going to a couple more questions, and then I'll sit down and let someone else ask. But I think that Representative Cornish did say we currently have, under law, you have the right to defend yourself if someone does pose that risk to you. You also, as was already stated by Representative Mullery, we already have the Castle Doctrine. You can protect yourself or your family members if someone enters your home. So I wanted to ask you, since Representative Mullery brought it up, about the issue of road rage, which continues, at least, it's a huge issue. If he brought the issue up, and I'd like you to put this on the record here, let's say there's road rage going on right here on on I-35, leaving the Capitol here, someone is really mad at me because I cut them off, and I do something inappropriate with my hand, or one of the fingers on my hand, and this person comes up behind me and starts tailgating me, and we got this whole thing going all the way down I-35, and then we end up at a stop sign, and he gets out of the car, and he's coming at me like he's gonna beat me up. He's gonna, and I'm really afraid. I believe, again, just like with you right here, that I reasonably believe that there's going to be substantial bodily harm or great bodily harm. Can I take out my firearm and shoot him? Because your bill now also talks about automobiles, cars. Can I then shoot him? And am I then liable if I kill him in any way? And also, if there are bystanders who happen to be at the stoplight, isn't it true that I am not criminally or civilly liable if they also get shot in the course of my self-defense under your bill?
Member from Blue Earth, Representative Cornish.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Paymar, I guess I've been in that instance where somebody has jumped out of their car and came after me. Why are you having such a hard time hearing me? Am I getting not loud enough?
I can't do that.
Representative Paymar, this only applies when you're removing a vehicle or removing a person from the car. It says attempting to remove the individual or another person from the dwelling or occupied vehicle. If it wasn't, then the current law would apply. If it wasn't removing a vehicle, the current law would apply and this law would not apply. So if it had nothing to do with the vehicle itself, then current law of great bodily harm would apply. You'd be in a public area. You wouldn't be in the curtilage of your home. You wouldn't be inside your vehicle. And so current law of great bodily harm would apply and not this law.
Member from Rams, Representative Paymar.
I'm not sure that I either heard or understood the answer, because according to your bill, under circumstances when it's authorized, yes, I would be able to shoot that person if I reasonably believed that he was that I was going to be exposed to substantial or great bodily harm. And it also says later in the bill that an individual that uses force, including deadly force, according to this section, is immune from criminal prosecution for the act. If other people, I just want to be clear about that. It really it happens anywhere if you reasonably believe that imminent. Yes, all right, Mr. Chair. It says this in the bill, and Representative Cornish, you can deny that it says it, but that's what you're asking people in this body to vote on. If you reasonably believe that an offense or an attempted offense that imminently exposes yourself to substantially bodily or great bodily harm or death can resist that with deadly force. That is what your bill says. So I just want to say something to you, Representative Cornish, and you and I have been friends, and even though we disagree on some big issues, you voted for my public safety omnibus bill. You were on my conference committee, and if you hadn't cut so much from the Department of Human Rights, I would have voted for your omnibus bill this year, because I think it wasn't a bad bill. But I think this thing is really dangerous, what you're doing. I think it's really extreme. I just want to say that my partner and I, she and I were outside leaving the house just this weekend, and we have a property that has woods in the back, and it's our property. It's private property. And these two kids came down. They must have been 17, 18 years old, and they were bigger kids, and they were in the, we never see kids back there or people back there. We see deer back there. We see wild turkey. We see all kinds of wildlife, but we never see people. And these kids came down, and it sort of spooked us. And I said, check this out, and they came down, and they were coming down, and we went and actually confronted them. Now, I don't know if that was smart or not. I didn't have my weapon with me, Representative Cornish, but I did ask them. I said, we said, what are you doing in our yard? This is private property. And then they said, well, we're just exploring. And we said, where do you live? And then they told us where they lived, and so everything was cool. But I'm just thinking, if those kids would have kept coming, and I had a weapon on me, and I reasonably believed that I was in danger, I could have shot those 2 kids under your bill. Mr. Speaker, I think, I'm not going to, belabor this because Representative Cornish is denying the intent of what his bill does. I think it's very serious. I think you should pay very close attention because these situations are going to happen in your districts. Representative Muller outlined a whole list of different scenarios. I'm telling you one that just happened this weekend. And I just think, we already have the Castle Doctrine. You have the right to self-defense. This bill is really to the extreme. And to all, and for those folks who, are worried about the National Rifle Association, this goes beyond the pale. This goes beyond hunting rifles and self-protection. This takes it a step further. I don't think we want to go here in the state of Minnesota. I would implore members to vote no on this bill. It's not good for public safety. You have law enforcement officers and police and law enforcement agencies throughout the state who have adamantly opposed this bill, and I think we should be with them.